Hey guys, welcome to the 59th C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be testing all the random functions that we created in the previous tutorial. But before we can just start using those functions, we first need to go up to the top and include that header file that we created in the previous tutorial. And for me that's called random.h, so I'm just going to go up to the top and say pound include random.h inside of quotes, not angle brackets. Alright, so once you've included your header file at the top, you're ready to use all the functions that we created. And the first function that we need to call is init_random, because remember, this function is just going to set up the seed for a random number generator. And if we don't set up the seed, then every time that we run our program, it's going to be generating the same random numbers or random strings. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do, like I said, is just call init_random. Alright. Then the first function that we're going to be testing out is just the random number generator. So we're basically just going to generate 50 random numbers and print them out onto the screen. So we're just going to say for int I equals 0, I equals 0, I is less than 50, I plus plus, and then we're just going to go ahead and print out onto the screen whatever our random function returns. So I'm just going to say %i, since the random number function returns an integer, and then I'm just going to go ahead and call the random number function, so just say random number. And remember, this function that we created takes two parameters. The first parameter is just the minimum value for the random number to be generated, and the second parameter is the maximum value for the random number that is generated. So I'm just going to make the minimum 50 and the maximum 100. This way every random number that is generated is going to be in between 50 and 100. So when I run this, I should just get out onto my screen 50 random numbers that are in between 50 and 100. And as you can see, it worked properly. Alright, pretty simple. Let's say I wanted to make it generate a random number in between 0 and 10. I run this and I should get 50 random numbers out onto my screen that are in between 0 and 10. And it seems to be working properly. Alright, so that function is pretty easy to use, but the next function that we created is random string, and this function can be a little bit more difficult to use. So the first thing that we're going to do right here is just create a character array to store all of the random characters that our function generates. So we're going to say character array rstring for random string, and we're just going to go ahead and make this 5 characters long. It'll be generating 4 random characters, and then the 5th character will be for the null terminating character. So to populate this array with random characters, we're just going to go ahead and call our random string function. So we're going to say random string, and then the first parameter is just the string that we want to populate. So for us, that would just be rstr for random string, so rstr. And then the second parameter is how many characters do we want to fill this string up with. Well, we only wanted to generate 4 random characters because we need the 5th for the null terminating character. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass through 4 right here. Alright, and then after it fills this character array right here with 4 random characters, we just want to go ahead and print this string out onto the screen. So we're going to say printf, and then just %s, since we're printing out a string, and then we're just going to go ahead and print out our string right here called rstr. So rstr. Alright, so when we run this, we should just get a 4-character string where all the characters inside of the string are random out onto the screen. So I run this and I get 4 random characters, but I also get this squiggly at the end, and that's not what we wanted. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in memory. Alright, so let me just go over to Paint right here. Alright, so when our program hits this line, basically what it's going to do is just go inside of memory and allocate 5 characters for this array. So it's just going to go in memory and set aside these 5 characters right here for our character array. Alright, so this means that these 5 characters in memory cannot be altered at all. These 5 characters are for our array and nothing else. And when it allocates these 5 characters, it doesn't change the value of these characters. Whatever value happened to be in memory in these 5 characters is still in memory. So we have no idea what the value of each one of these characters is. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a question mark in each one of these. And it's really hard to draw a question mark with a mouse, so I apologize if you can't tell if that's a question mark. But anyways, then we come down to this line right here. And basically what this line is going to do is just fill the first 4 characters inside of our character array up with random characters. So it's going to fill this through this up with random characters. So let me just go ahead and erase all these question marks here. Alright, and like I said, all this is going to do is just fill these first 4 characters up with random characters. So we'll say that it changes this to a T, it makes this an O, makes this a B, and this an 8. Alright, but this last character inside of our character array is still unknown. We have no idea what value happens to be here in memory. And then after it fills these 4 characters up with random characters, it just prints this string out onto the screen. So it prints out all these random characters right here, these 4 random characters, and then whatever value happened to be in memory right there. And it just so happens that there was a squiggly in memory, or a tilde out, whatever you want to call it. So that's why when we ran our program, we got our 4 random characters and then the squiggly or the tilde out onto our screen. But how can we fix this problem? Well, we know that we want the last character inside of this string to be the null terminating character. So one solution is to just change the last character inside of our character array to the null terminating character. So we can go ahead and say rstr at the index of 4, so the last character inside of our string, and we're just going to go ahead and set this character equal to the null terminating character. So now instead of this last character being unknown, this last character is now equal to the null terminating character, so everything should work properly. Alright, so now when I run this, as you can see, we just get our 4 random characters out onto the screen and nothing else. So if I run this again, I should get a different string. Perfect. Alright, but there is a better way of doing this, at least I think. What you can do is go up here and say equals, and then inside of 2 curly braces just put a 0, and then just end the line with a semicolon. And basically what this is going to do, when it allocates this array, it's going to make every single one of the characters inside of this array equal to 0, or the null terminating character. So let me just go ahead and open up this blank grid again. So now when it allocates these 5 characters in memory, it just allocates these 5 characters right here, we'll say. And then instead of these values being unknown, it goes ahead and makes the value of every single one of these characters the null terminating character. So it makes this null terminating, and so on, all the way to the end. So it makes all 5 of these the null terminating character, or a value of 0. Alright, and then we fill the first 4 characters inside of our string with random characters. So we change all these 4 characters just to random characters again. So we'll say that it makes this a 7, makes this an O, makes this a B, and makes this an A. Alright, so now it fills these 4 up with random characters, and the last character inside of the string is unchanged. It's still the null terminating character. So when we run this, this should work just as fine. Perfect. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so see you guys.